the Pioneer viewers. I hope you're healthy and happy as always. Today we would like to share another important development in Russia-Ukraine war. As you know, this war, which began with an attempted invasion of Ukraine, has seen people of many different nationalities take part on both sides. However, there were some striking differences among these participants. In particular, those who joined the Russian armed forces were influenced by the promises made by the Russian leader Vladimir Putin. And Putin's policies and Russia's interests were among the key factors that motivated them to join the war. Most of the individuals who joined the Ukrainian armed forces did so voluntarily. People of different nationalities, motivated solely by the humanitarian sentiments, came from many kilometers away to support the liberation of a people. In this war, international volunteers have made significant achievements, and recently there have been interesting developments regarding an extraordinary operation carried out by the Canadian volunteer. Canadians serving in the Ukrainian Armed Forces carried out a highly successful operation, neutralizing a number of Russian soldiers. Let's take a look at details of this operation. But before moving on to our report, I would like to make a small reminder. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring you the developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our daily reports. You can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button below the videos. Let's start if you're ready, the Pioneer reports. So, in recent months, one of the most violent periods of fighting between the Russian armed forces and the Ukrainian armed forces took place in Avdiivka. During these clashes, the Russian armed forces took control of Avdiivka as a result of the tactical withdrawal of the Ukrainian armed forces. The fighting was extremely intense and violent, and the Russian troops continuously launched attacks, inflicting heavy losses. However, these attacks continued with demarcation and determination. Russian leader Vladimir Putin has strict orders, and disobedience to these orders was unacceptable. As a result, the risk of soldiers losing their lives due to the disobedience was very high. During the conflict, the full range of military equipment was in operation, including aircraft, artillery, and drones. In particular, we have repeatedly shared the tasks that drones performed effectively throughout the war. Avdiivka was one of the key locations where drones operated intensively. Among the missions carried out by the drones, it was evident that the Russian armed forces suffered serious losses, especially during the kamikaze attacks. The losses of the Russian armed forces increased significantly, and this was noteworthy in highlighting the effectiveness of drones and their role on the battlefield. One of the reasons for the increase in the Russian casualties in the various regions of Ukraine was the presence of an international legion operating within the Ukrainian armed forces. This legion included soldiers of different nationalities, many of whom carried out dramatic operations in Avdiivka. Even the Azov battalion, an elite unit of the Ukrainian armed forces, was allegedly rescued by the International Legion. The Legion members first managed to break through the defenses of the Russian armed forces and then opened an evacuation corridor. However, this corridor was under heavy fire from both sides and turned into a struggle for survival. Even in these difficult conditions, the Legion managed to create a corridor. Allegedly, the troops of the Azov battalion were pinned down on the front lines, and the Legion's corridor allowed them to retreat. This meant avoiding almost certain annihilation. In recent days, Canadian soldiers were interviewed about the evacuation of the Azov battalion and a complete withdrawal of the Ukrainian armed forces from Avdiivka. Lance, one of the Canadian soldiers, described the evacuation operation in the following words. So he said that the battlefield resembled a crazy Vietnam War movie scene. And during the brutal fight for this city, I asked myself, what life choices did I make to get here? But withdrawing from the city was not just about withdrawing. It was not that simple, because to do so would have led to Ukrainian soldiers being surrendered by Putin's monsters. We couldn't afford that, but it would have led to an outcome that would have affected the fate of the war in every aspect. The Ukrainian armed forces units needed to launch a counterattack to give the trapped people enough time to get out of the city alive. So our task was basically to counterattack the Russians, to hold them back so that the other Ukrainians could withdraw from the encirclement, and to a large extent we succeeded. Between the two attacks, we came very close. My ears were ringing and my head was spinning. So I put my ear protection down, and I was really glad I did, because the third hit was very close and I was almost temporarily blinded by the flash. Another Canadian volunteer drone operator, Rosomnik, shared his profound and moving experiences of the fighting in Avdiivka. Rosomnik's account was full of realisms and dramatic moments that led to you shaking inside. I have never seen such a huge explosions, so realistic, even in movies. Rosomnik began, but his most striking moment was when he saved a Ukrainian soldier from death. A Ukrainian soldier had been captured by 3 Russian soldiers, and Rosomnik stepped in at a critical moment. I noticed that the metal was moving, and I started to take a closer look, and yes, 3 Russians were pushing him backwards and pushing one of their men to go inside. He said, faced with this emergency, Rosomnik acted boldly. He took his gun off the safety and put it on the automatic. Remember, this is 20 meters in front of me, he stressed it. And with his rifle pointed right in the middle of the Russian soldiers, Rosomnik knew he was in a critical moment of decision, but it was not only saving soldiers' life, it was also risking his own. I managed to destroy all 3 of them there, and Rosomnik continued, determination in his eyes pell-mell. It was really a very difficult moment for the Ukrainian soldier and for me. If I felt it could have been the end of both of us, but I succeeded, and it was a moment I will never forget. So the testimonies of the Canadian soldiers have been watched with great interest around the world. The testimonies of these soldiers who served in the Ukrainian Armed Forces remained and reminded us once again of the details of the Avdiivka clashes. The Canadian soldiers revealed not only their own heroism, but also the courageous actions of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. They also directly conveyed to the world the situation caused by the Russian troops. The invasion launched by the Russian leader Vladimir Putin had affected not only the 2 countries, but also the entire world. And although the Ukrainian Armed Forces resisted until the last moment, at many points they were forced to retreat in unfavorable conditions. The war is still ongoing, and the armed forces of Ukraine are fighting resolutely to end the occupation. The withdrawals are just the beginning. It's time to gather strength for the stronger fight for victory, Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrskyi said. We have decided to withdraw in order to prevent a siege and to protect the lives of our personnel. And this does not mean that the struggle is over. It is just time to prepare for a stronger fight. We will liberate our lands again. What do you think? Do you think the successes of the soldiers of the International Legion will increase in the future? And what do you think about the testimonies of the Canadian soldiers about the Avdiivka clashes? Let me know in the comments, because you know that I read and I care a lot about all of your comments.